Hi everyone, we're Team Lovely and this is Inchao. Today, we're going to talk about our final project, a study of ETFs and the factors they implement. The three factors that we choose for our study are size, value, and momentum. After some online research and reading about each ETF's description, our ETF selection is shown in the slide. Then we go to Yahoo Finance to gather return data of each ETF, and we merge the ETF return datasets with the factor return datasets provided by Professor. After getting the organized dataset, we perform multiple linear regression to evaluate their performance in terms of their exposure to the factor. We use factor return as y and ETF's return as x's, and the general formula for the regression is shown on the slide. The table below are regression summaries of each factor. Taking the first factor, size, as an example, the negative constant means that it has a negative alpha, while the alpha is not statistically significant with 95% confidence level. Both ETFs have significant exposure to the size factor since their corresponding betas have p-values smaller than 0.05. Moving on to our next step, we're going to rank those ETFs based on their tracking error. Our logic behind this method is that investors don't need to spend much on the low tracking error ETF while keeping the high exposure to the factor they want to invest. In other words, those ETFs with lower tracking error are cheaper in terms of unit exposure to the factor. Based on their tracking error ranking, we will choose MSMD, MTUM, and VFVA to build our portfolio. And now we will build optimal portfolios. We have built two types of portfolios. The minimum variance portfolio will give investors the lowest volatility, and tangency portfolio will provide investors the highest Sharpe ratio. The weights of each ETF in the two types of portfolios are shown in the table. Okay, after doing our analysis with ETFs only, now we will analyze if we can directly invest in factors. So what we do is that we apply the weights from the previous step directly to factors, and the table summarizes portfolio returns and volatility. And we have the conclusion that in the time period of our analysis, the ETFs that we picked don't perform similarly as their corresponding factors because they have different returns and volatility from their pure factor peers. However, there are limitations to our study, such as the time period that we choose and the ETFs that we've picked. And last but not the least, our discussion of the last question is that investing ETFs is a cheaper way to implement factors, since multiple factor ETFs give investors exposure to different factors with a single trading. And those ETFs typically offer lower risk from volatility or lower fees. And that's why ETFs are also called smart beta. Okay, so that is all for our presentation. Thank you very much.